I sense snow time, so maybe I'm late doing this. Hola! Honestly, I feel like there have been way worse seasons in anime than this one, and I'm pretty optimistic about this one. I originally wanted to do a video on one anime from the 90s, and it's... But yeah, we'll get to that. And also, if I don't do a video on this season right now, I will never do it, and I'm late anyways. And I really like looking back at my first impressions of a season and then, you know, kinda check if I was right about how good or bad a show turned out to be. And, you know, just see how disappointed I got. Well, I've seen only the first episode of most of these. But before I even start, let me just say, Shingeki no Kyojin, I haven't seen it yet. I read the manga though, so at least I know what happens, but I will catch up on it eventually. So here's what I'm watching. Number 1 is Wonder Egg Priority, which is why it's the first one, cause priority. This anime looks really great so far. I haven't read the premise when I decided to watch it. I just saw that it was an original, and as you know, I prefer checking out the originals. So even though I didn't expect anything, everything that happened from the first moment, it was all kind of unexpected. So the premise is basically that a girl called Ai gets bullied and she has no friends. And the only friend she ever did actually have killed herself. And then one day she's given an egg and she's told to break it and make a wish. And from that point on, she seems to start living a parallel life inside her dreams, although her actions do have real-life consequences. The way I describe it now, it doesn't sound super cool or anything, but I think it really is. I just don't want to spoil too much, you know, even if it's just the first episode. It's just the way they made it really drew me in from the first moment on. So for now, I have no idea what's gonna happen or what's really going on, but I'm very interested to see what happens next. I'd probably recommend this if you like dreamy atmospheres and more psychological stories. The second anime I'm watching is called Jaku-Chara Tomozaki-kun. Unlike Wonder Egg Priority, this seems to be a pretty basic anime. I don't know, it seems very basic and something you'd probably watch while you eat or something. The story revolves around the title character, a high schooler called Tomozaki, and he's like your typical high school loser type of guy, but he's crazy good at video games, or at least at this one specific game. And one day the second best player writes to him and asks if they could meet up, and he agrees to it. And so it turns out that the second best player is actually his schoolmate, a super popular girl called Aoi. She's initially disappointed with this outcome, but after a lame speech by Tomozaki, she decides to help him get more have a social life. Have a more active social life. So yeah, it's like the typical story. Oh, popular person helps unpopular person become more popular. For me, it's fine because I don't watch a lot of stories like this. But if that's not the first time you've seen something like this, then it's probably gonna bore you. I don't know, unless they come up with something like really crazy or an amazing plot twist or something. But I don't think they will. I haven't read the manga, so I have no idea. Number 3 is Yami Shibai Season 8. Ah yes, Yami Shibai. Yotterashai, mitterashai. I don't even think it's that good, but for some reason I've seen everything. It's kind of, in my mind, it's kind of like, do I have the 5 minutes in my day to watch an episode of Yami Shibai? And the answer is always yes. And to be fair, I thought that episode 3, I think, of this season was actually pretty creepy. And usually it's just like whatever. But this episode was, yeah. But yeah, I think everybody already knows Yami Shibai, so I'll just leave it at that and move on. Number 4 is, I forgot the title, it's the volleyball one. I will write it down. So the fact that I didn't even write down the name of this anime kind of tells you the vibe I got so far. They're typical sports anime. One guy is good at the sport and the other guys need to get on his level. And obviously the sport is volleyball. And so why do we need this when there's Haikyuu? I mean, the animation is really nice, especially the winter scenery is very nice to look at. There's also, you know, the typical stuff like dark past, blah blah blah. I don't want to spoil too much. I guess if you're into sports anime, you're gonna watch this anyway. So for me in sports anime, I just like watching the hustle. But I really hope they will handle the personal elements better than this atrocity. What was it called? Hoshiai no Sora. Now I couldn't even remember. I hope they will handle this better than Hoshiai no Sora, which was just, oh my god. One thing after the other. I just don't want it to become something that's hard to sit through, because I really try to avoid dropping something. Anyways, number 5 on the list is Skate the Infinity. It's another original animation, and after having seen the first episode only, I think it could probably become my favorite original of the season. So as you might have guessed, it's a story about skateboarding, a sport I do not care about at all, but nevertheless, this anime is going to be extremely entertaining, I'm sure. It's about a guy called Ricky and his obsession with skating races and beating his nemesis, Shadow. Then one day a transfer student arrives, how original. His name is Danga. Is that a name anywhere? Anyways, this Danga guy arrives in town and he starts working at the skate shop where Nikki also works. And Nikki immediately tries to get him into skating as well. So that's in and of itself pretty basic, but I'm not kidding when I say that the animation is amazing. I was sitting there like, I got so excited watching this. When they race, it's just so stunning and dynamic. So as of right now, my guess is that this is gonna be pretty good. Number 6 on the list is an anime called Project Scarred Praeter no Kizu, and truth be told, I kind of want to drop this shit already. So the story is about a bunch of people who live in Akatsuki, a part in Tokyo, and apparently there's no law and there's only criminals and the mafia, blah blah blah. I don't even want to get into the details, but basically it's just people fighting each other. In the first episode, like a ton of people were introduced and each of them are part of some different gang or have their different agendas, and all of them look super flawless. And anyways, the story is kind of boring if I'm being honest here, but the animation is something about it just looks off. Right off the back, you can notice the 3D animation, and it's hard to look at. Also, the city's supposed to be fucked, right? Yet every place where they showed the interior, it just looks spotless and super stylish. And another thing that's kind of weird is that everybody's hair moves like a lot. I just can't stop noticing. I could do an entire video about the first episode alone, so let's just forget this for now. But the last anime I'm watching for this season is called Byoui Ramune. This one is based on a manga, which I haven't read, and it's a story about a guy called Ramune, and he's a doctor for rare diseases. The thing is that these diseases are manifestations of people's negative emotions. So the problems that the people face in these stories are very real actually, but diseases in and of themselves, like the way these problems come out, is kind of ridiculous. So for example, in the first episode there's this child actress and she started crying condiments like mayo and soy sauce, so she can't cry real tears. And so Ramune describes her a medicine that makes her speak the truth. That's something that she would normally never do because she doesn't want to disappoint her manager mom and tell her mother that she's actually totally unhappy with her life and just wants to be a normal child and so on. And to be honest, I get that it's kind of silly, but I kind of like these kind of stories still because I think they promote a healthy mindset. And also, I have the humor of a little boy sometimes. So these are all the shows I'm watching this season. And yeah, can't wait to catch up on Shingeki no Kyojin. I'm sure it's amazing. Although I've heard that people are disappointed in Studio Mappa, but they're a great studio, so like, what do you know? And we'll see how I'll be feeling about all of these when this season ends. So thanks for watching. I know this has been a bit rushed, but it's so difficult for me to talk about things without spoiling them, because the way I like to get into an anime is just, if you tell me, hey, this show is good, then I'll just watch it at some point. But I hate knowing too much about anything, which is why I don't know, I just want to try to keep it vague and just kind of share my own impressions, you know? They're not really recommendations or anything like that. So I just kind of want to do this to look back and see if my like predictions came true, you might say. But yeah, for this season, that's it. And tell me what you're watching and have a good day, I guess. Thanks for watching.